MidnightTripleFeature.com.
Thank you for listening to the official YouTube page of Midnight Triple Feature. Please, while you listen, head over to MidnightTripleFeature.blogspot.com. You can check out past shows, reviews, or link up to social media where we can keep in touch. Thank you for listening.
All right, well, that was the trailer for The Battery. I cut that one short, which was hit the festivals about 2013, was released 2014, I think in January or so, somewhere around there. It was actually filmed in our home state of Connecticut. I think the guys that made this were from Pittsfield.
Possibly.
Somewhere around there, or
Yeah.
at least in the movie they were from Pittsfield.
Right.
So.
Alright, so The Battery basically is about two guys named Ben and Mickey, and they're former minor league baseball players in Pittsfield, Mass. And they get caught in the middle of a zombie apocalypse and end up sort of out on the road by themselves, living a nomadic lifestyle. Two very different sides of a coin in terms of personality, so they kind of end up at odds throughout the movie. So again, it was made for $6,000, shot primarily, was shot entirely around areas that we live in. A very different take on the zombie film. It's more of a road movie, I guess.
Yeah.
A road movie that takes place in a sort of a zombie movie. It's, the zombies aren't the forefront. The relationship of these two guys and their travels trying to survive is the forefront, I suppose. But we're introduced to Mickey and Ben, right away. And what did you think of the two guys in general?
Well, they focused a lot on the two guys. There was no real zombie focus on this.
No.
I mean, there was very little zombie inclusion. It was more or less a tale about how these two men are surviving in the zombie apocalypse.
Right.
And, again, the clash in personalities is prevalent,
Right.
which makes the movie.
Yeah, what you get are two extremes of what you would get in this scenario. So you get the one guy who sort of loves this lifestyle. So you get Ben who...
Or adapted to it.
Right, but he really... even Mickey says, he's like, you get off on this, basically. You like this. This is fun for you. This is the life you want to live. And Mickey represents the exact opposite of the guy that he wants to sleep in a bed. He wants a girlfriend. He wants his old life back. So...
Just can't stand it.
Right, but these two guys are forced together. Whereas most people would probably fall somewhere in the middle. Most people would, I would think, sort of welcome the lifestyle of, that lifestyle of your only goal is to survive is almost appealing in a way. There's no more bills, there's no more worrying about where you gotta be tomorrow. It's just, all you have to worry about is, am I gonna be alive tomorrow? Am I gonna have a place to sleep? Am I gonna have food? Am I gonna have water?
That comes early on, too. I mean, they show it right from the start.
Right, but at the same time, most of us would also want the luxuries in life at the same time. These guys kind of represent the extremes of both sides,
Well,
I think.
really play that off when he starts to communicate with Anna.
Right.
And the other guy's like, she doesn't want us, don't worry about it.
Exactly,
He's kind of like, just let's go on our own, they don't want us. And he's like, no, he's stuck on, there's gotta be something over there,
Exactly.
And at the same time, he's also telling them, look, she's telling us not to fuck around because there's gonna be consequences.
Right. Yeah, exactly. She warns him, he doesn't listen. It's like, he's so stubborn, in a way. Mickey so badly wants to believe that his old life will exist again, that he's willing to put themselves, in obvious danger.
And that kind of makes the movie, because if they were both on the same page, there would be no movie. It would be...
Oh yeah, no, this is important, yeah. The conflict is the only thing the movie has, because you're right, this isn't a zombie movie per se, it's about conflict of two guys on the road who really, in any other circumstance, would never be together, because...
But they would never fucking party each other.
Like,
they...
Right. They use the analogy of the baseball field, one's a pitcher, one's a catcher. We live in different worlds.
Yep.
He spends his days in the bullpen. This guy spends his days in the dugout. They're always separate. They don't run with the same crowds.
Yep.
It ends up being necessity. That's why they're together.
Yeah.
So
it would have been nice to find out how they actually came together, though, being from two separate extremes.
He says it. They were basically playing when it all happened.
They left. They evacuated the field when it happened.
They were in the middle of a game.
And they got stuck together And
They ended up in
nobody,
a house together.
and
poses
nobody
the
else
question
made
of
it.
why there weren't more with them.
Well, I think the assumption is there were, and that they were the only two that made it out alive.
So you're thinking that maybe this has been going on for quite some
Oh
time.
yeah, sure. I mean, they made it. I mean, they definitely has been. I mean, the fact that they aren't seeing other people.
Yeah.
The
tells
only
you
part
that it
I
has
didn't
been.
get was he says that they left together. When he's talking to Anna, he's saying, I don't even know this guy. I know nothing about him.
Yeah.
I don't hang
Right.
out with him. I don't associate with him. But he turns to him and says, hey, you remember that girl from Pittsfield I used to date?
Exactly.
I didn't understand that because if they don't know each other and they don't hang out with each other, how does he
Right.
know the girl from Pittsfield?
That is
So there
true.
could have
Well,
been
yeah.
a little more dialogue.
I took it as, they had been together so long that those things had probably already come up. Because, I mean, you figure they made it from Pittsfield to Connecticut. God knows how long that took. They were in a house for a long time. Because they talk
True.
about, well, they
Yeah.
were in the house long enough to eat the dog. So, like, they were in that house for a very long
Yep.
time. And that's
And the
part of the
girlfriend.
True,
reason.
and he does mention there was other people there, too.
Oh yeah, he does,
Yeah,
and that's
so-
part of the reason why Ben is so against ever staying in a house again. That's why he wants to move, because he says like I had to kill the fucking dog,
Yeah.
like so I don't want to do that again. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to live in a house. I'm going to stay on the road, and this is the best way to survive.
Yep.
So I got the impression they've been together for a very long time. So like most of the movie is that type of conflict,
Yeah. And it's filmed like one camera.
Right,
Still
yeah.
shots.
yeah, it's.
Which actually,
Oh, I liked it.
I
didn't
liked
bother me
it
at
a
all.
lot. I mean,
Yeah.
it really played off well.
Right.
Especially
way
when
they
they
did
just
it.
kind of sit it on top of the car, and they just leave it facing where they
Right.
are.
Yep.
So they're kind of on and off screen, but it fucking works
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Or like the scene where they're brushing her teeth. The camera never moves.
That seems
That
great.
was fucking
Yeah,
awesome.
Right. Because like the instinct would be to cut, right? The instinct would be like not to let them sit there and brush their teeth for however long. But it's that focus on like this is like the greatest thing they've done in days is to brush their fucking teeth.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
That's
it
all they
shows
got.
it. But it shows it.
Right.
And that's what really appealed to me the most when you
Right.
see them fucking brushing their teeth. It was almost
Right.
like they hadn't brushed their teeth in fucking months.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This was like a minor luxury. Music is another one. Like
I love that entire scene as a whole.
Right.
Like, once they're outside and they're brushing their teeth and you got that whole scene going on,
Right.
and then he turns to him and says, let's go steal some of your dead girlfriend's blankets.
Oh
You're
right,
like,
yeah,
it's
I know.
so awesome. That whole scene is awesome.
And that whole stuff with like Mickey and the sexuality and him like
Masturbating in the
right,
car.
but I mean that's a concept that's not handled very often in zombie movies of like you've been alone for a very long time but you still
Yeah.
have those urges. Like it's
Yeah.
something that isn't handled ever in these movies.
But
or
why
in
would you
shows.
do that while a fucking zombie's trying to get at you and eat you?
I love that scene.
Me
That scene's
too.
so
It was
great.
good.
Right, me too. I love
But
it.
why would you leave your friend without a fucking weapon?
Well, because
he doesn't want one. He doesn't,
right, he doesn't
never,
want
he
one.
never said that.
He doesn't want to kill.
Yeah, but he made it very clear
He
that
made
he
it
doesn't
very
want to
clear.
kill them. Like he says to Ben, why did you have to kill it? He says it to him. Why did you
Yeah,
have to
but
kill that?
why
one?
would you jerk off to it, though?
At the hotel, he says, "Why do you feel the need to kill every
He
single one?"
says
of them?
it. He says it right.
He doesn't
to him.
want. He doesn't want to kill.
Right, and
That's
that's
not
why
his
he
thing.
locks him
Right.
in the room with the thing, and he's like,
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much moves
as
the
far
story
as,
forward.
as far as why he's jerking off to a zombie, I mean, it's established that the guy's incredibly horny. That the guy,
Well,
that's
she
all.
was-
Like
she
that's one
was
of his.
hot. She
That's-
was hot.
That's another scene I like because the camera is inside the car,
Right,
and you have Ben off to the side,
right.
and then you have I keep forgetting his name,
Mickey.
Mickey. Mickey's like outside, and he is just in the distance, just laughing his ass off.
After he
Right.
blows the fucking head
After he
off.
blows it off,
Yeah.
and you can just see him. And,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "All right, I'll let you finish. I'm done. I'll let you
Yeah.
finish." Such a great scene.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
So, I mean, alright, so I'm saying what else? So it does end up being like, they don't end up in a house or anything like that, and, they end up on the road. And he does end up meeting Annie, which is a pretty pivotal scene, because he's been talking to this girl for so long who lives at the orchard, and, she obviously fucks him over. No,
Well, yeah,
she
technically.
does.
Yeah,
She definitely fucks
Yeah.
them over.
she does, but they don't go into too much detail about what's going on her end of the scale.
No, they don't, but I mean,
They don't really need to.
no.
But they do. They do, because the whole flight, the whole thing of this is they're trying to get or find
No, they're
these
not.
people.
They're not.
No, they're actually not trying to find him.
They're not trying to find anybody.
No.
He is obsessed with her.
Yeah.
Ben is obsessed with her over the radio. So his goal
Mickey's
is to try to
obsessed
find
with
her.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, Mickey, which I actually fucked their names up before.
Yeah.
Mickey's obsessed. With
Yeah.
it. Ben's not. Ben's
just along for the ride.
No, he's trying to avoid the situation altogether.
Ben is actually driving that. After he has that falling out with her over the phone, there's no more interest even on Mickey's side of finding her anymore. Like, you can see, because after that whole scene, like, they have all these bonding scenes of them together. Like,
They
Mickey
get drunk
basically,
together.
Mickey basically accepting, like, this is, it's me and you now, so that's what I got from it.
Well,
'cause
that
we-
was after fucking.
And then she shows
Ben
up.
threw the fucking zombie in his room. And
That's
made
when
him
it all
kill him.
happens, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, and he's like, you need to forget about her. I told you need to forget about her. He does, and then she shows up, and she fucks him over. She throws their keys into a field so that they can't find them. They get stuck. Yes,
That's a story. You're right, but that's a story better left told for another movie.
What is?
Anna.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that she fucked him over for no
you're
reason.
right. It doesn't. It doesn't change any of that.
Right.
But
All it does is
leads
prove that
into
Ben was right. I mean,
and it leads into another movie because they don't go
potentially right.
Yeah.
But they end up locked in the car, surrounded by zombies. And I don't want to spoil here because I don't want to talk about exactly what happens. But there is this one really long take.
in the car.
Right, where
Oh,
one of the characters leaves the car to go get the keys while the zombies are all around, and it's got to be several minutes long, single take. And the instinct in most of these movies would be to take the camera outside, right? See him fighting his way through the zombies.
But not only that, but why not when that happens? Obviously, the zombies are attracted to a certain thing, and that's human flesh. Why not? Why didn't the zombies like go after or do what they need to do and leave an opening for the leftover? And I don't know if that was a spoiler or not.
I have no idea what the hell you just
You're
said.
talking about the ending?
The ending. I mean, the scene in the car was way too fucking long. They could have.
I enjoyed every
Me
fucking
too.
minute
I
of it.
loved all of it.
It
Yeah, I
wasn't
liked all of it.
boring by any means, but
I'm
why
gonna
didn't they fucking just like
that scene
if
in the
guy
car.
got out of the car? Listen, I mean, all zombies do is want to fucking eat brains,
Right.
Eat flesh. The fucking only live flesh that came was out of the fucking thing,
Right, out of the car, right?
out of the car. Why didn't the zombies surrounding the car chase after?
They
him?
did.
They
The
did.
other
So
guy couldn't leave the car because of the situation he was in with his leg. There's no way. The whole thing, his whole argument was, I can't leave the car because I can't run. That was his whole thing. At the end, yes, he ends up doing it out of necessity. He has to. He has no choice. His whole thing is like, I'm either gonna die or I'm not, so I'm just gonna go for it. The whole thing was that the guy that ends up that goes after the keys was right the whole time. That ends up being the irony of it all. Is that he was right. Like, when he said, this is what we need to do, like, do what we did at the house, he was right. Because that's what he ends up doing at the end of the movie, and it works.
But
He was
the
right the
premise
whole
is
time.
like, at the time he left the car,
Right.
the other guy should have fucking got out.
He couldn't, though,
He couldn't
because of
get
his
out.
leg. That was
Yeah,
his whole thing.
but
He was
the mentality of it.
he
would have
was
been-
convinced that he couldn't.
And you needed that scene. You needed.
But that long though? I mean, it was
Yeah.
almost 10 minutes.
I was completely fine with it because
Yeah,
you
I was
see
too.
the change. He completely changes. He goes from it's raindrops on a roof
All right,
to
so,
I got to get the
yeah.
fuck out of here.
All right,
Right.
so
Like he completely changes
He's
when
he's
the
being
other
brought
guy,
to a point where he needs to say, "I'm fucking either gonna do it or I'm gonna fucking put a bullet in my
A
head."
few things happen in that scene. They become closer friends. They bond together. Then one of them leaves the car, and the one that's in the car, I'm trying to do it without spoiling it.
Yeah.
The whole time is we're gonna blah 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 blah, and you slowly see him start to go, wait a minute, he's right. Like I
Yeah.
was wrong and he was right. That entire scene is to lead up to the change of personality.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what
All
happened.
right,
exactly
so
what it
why
is.
did it take him so long to do what he needed to do?
Who?
The guy that got out of the
Because
car.
because they already established that he couldn't find the keys before. He spent hours looking for those
But
keys.
that was in the evening. That was during that was.
And this
night-
time he's surrounded by zombies.
Yeah, so he's probably running over looking for the keys, running away, trying to get the zombies away
Right.
from him, running back looking for the keys,
All right.
running away.
Don't mistake my questioning for like a dislike, because this movie was fucking awesome.
Right.
But there's certain other intervals the things that happened at that point that, I don't know, any other person, maybe it's just me, but I would have acted a little differently, you know?
Right.
If I was the guy left in the car with a bullet through the leg, I would have fucking got out of the car.
He wouldn't have had to get out of the car if the keys came back.
Yeah, exactly.
So he didn't have to get out of the car unless the keys don't come
But
back.
see, that space of it was not filled.
So why would
the camera could have been on the guy.
That's what I'm telling you, though. They did the opposite. As a
Why?
viewer, you expect that. So what they did is rather than take the camera out of the car and go with him, they said, we're not going to give you that. We're not going to do that. We're going to do the opposite. We're actually going to stay inside so that you're stuck inside being like, what the fuck is going on? That whole time in your head, you are now in the same state as the guy in the car. You're like, what is going on? What's going on? How long is this going to take? When's he going to come back?
But they
why is this taking so long?
I think they drew it out
You are saying exactly what he's saying in the car. What you're saying to us is what he's saying. Why is this taking so long? What is going on? What's happening? Why isn't something happening?
And then he starts to freak out. He starts to yell at the zombie, shut up, stop.
As a viewer, you almost have the same reaction.
And the one thing, and coming from an ex-smoker, you can see the tension because he's chain smoking. He's so tense that he's lighting a cigarette and then he puts one out and then a few minutes later he's lighting another one. That's showing you how anxious he's getting on why it's taking so long. So. There's so many things going on in that scene to show you why
you are reacting. You are reacting exactly the way they want you to react. That's what's funny about it.
No, you're right.
You are.
But still, the one guy's out of the car. They've already made that connection. Wouldn't you think they want to be communicating?
They can't. There's no way.
Way.
There's no way for them to communicate. That's the whole point.
No, I'm fine. You're fine.
That's the whole point of it. There's no way for them to communicate. You're stuck in the car with him.
But how far away the
keys
were not far away.
Because when he is laying in front of the car, when he first gets hurt, and the other one's looking for the keys, he's yelling to him, and he can barely hear him. He's so far into the field
but
that
the chick didn't throw him that far, though.
We don't know that.
You don't know.
You're just taking an assumption by how she threw him. They never showed them.
They don't show the keys.
No idea.
She made sure
you have to take
saw where she.
You have to take it that it's established that he didn't because they show you that. Like you cannot say that he knew where they were when it's established after the fact that he didn't.
But she said,
"Look that information.
Where I'm throwing these keys."
Clearly, he didn't because it's established after the fact that he couldn't find the keys.
Because even the other ones, they're right there. They're right there. I saw him land. And
He didn't. The whole point is that we're told he didn't see them. I'd be with you if we never saw him look for the keys, but we did. We know he looked all day because it was nighttime, but you know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
all right.
Anyway,
there is stirring a pot. Right. I like stirring a pot.
There was mention of a sequel. The title would be The Orchard.
I hope so.
But it would not have any relation to this movie.
No, it would have to be. Well,
I'm telling you from the words of the director, the guy that starred in this movie, the guy that wrote it, who played Ben, said, my idea for a sequel is called The Orchard, and it has nothing to do with the Battery. These characters are not part of that story. He said it. It'll involve Annie. It'll involve the other guy. It will not involve Ben. You will never see Ben.
That's fucked up because it should involve Ben.
You'll never.
Ben should be the one because he's the
one
that.
Who cares?
He told them.
How do you know that the Rise of the Orchard isn't an interesting story in itself?
But who knows if there isn't going to be a triple feature?
There may be, but I can tell you from the words of his mouth.
Yep. Maybe
these two movies would not be connected.
Maybe they're just getting started.
Maybe. But he says he doesn't think it'll ever get made, so.
The sequel will involve The Orchard. And then
he's got a couple other movies in his mind, I guess. He said he doesn't think that one will ever get made anyway. So.
I think he's got a fucking diamond in the rough here.
Yeah. Well, he does, but he could push it too far, too, and be done with it.
Yeah, no. I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great.
I do, too.
It was so good. So
now, I have a question for you.
I'm pre-ordering this. I can't wait. I want this in my collection. Yeah,
for everybody out there, maybe spur a little interest. During the credits, I saw like geeked out zombies, Greeked out zombies. The term.
Don't know.
I Googled it. I searched everywhere on
Inside
the
joke.
internet. I could
Most
not.
likely.
It's probably something on their end.
Greeked out
Greeked
zombies.
out zombies.
Most likely an inside joke among them.
I've never heard that term, and that interested me when I saw that because I've never heard that before.
It's probably a joke amongst them that
Yeah.
only certain people will get.
Yeah.
Probably.
Because there wasn't really too much exposure as far as zombies were concerned.
Right.
So
There were a few, but I know what you're saying now. There's
Greeked out
obviously
zombie. I mean, it's a fucking kick-ass term. Greeked out zombie. I mean,
maybe they just had really black hair and looked Greek.
maybe.
They were wearing togas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Toga!
Eating
Toga!
So. And as always, you can find us on the web at midnighttriplefeature.blogspot.com, on Twitter at MTFeature, and on Facebook. And on Facebook. And on Facebook. And on Facebook.